Hello, this is a tradesight trade recap. This is a trade call we made this week on Wednesday, July 10th, 2013 on Checkpoint software. I want to show you a couple of features about this trade just to give you an idea of what we were looking at, how it played out. So here's a look at the daily chart pattern coming into the Wednesday session, and you can see this general nice cup and handle formation that we saw and identified. We had a 13 seeker sell signal. That's this 13 here. Usually a very powerful signal. The only time those signals don't quite mean as much to me is when you've got such a strong and long pattern in the stock itself. So for example, if you look down here at the bottom, we've got a 13 seeker buy signal, and that did turn us here, but you weren't really set up for anything else to the downside. In this case, this cup and handle formation is so strong that a 13 sell signal can really work either way, and what matters for us is we're not going to buy this thing until it breaks above the highs, above 53. So if it does that, it's really shaking off that 13 signal anyway. So even though coming into the day we saw that there was that 13 signal for the sell side, we were really interested in the construction. Now, if you remember Wednesday, Thursday morning when we actually came in, the stock market had gapped up, and here's how the trade actually started to play out. So this is the end of the trading day, 5-minute bars on the day before the trade, and so here's the first bar of the new session right here, and we got a gap up. And at the time, everything else in the market was really gapping, and we were really concerned that most of our plays for the day had gapped over their triggers, which means we don't really have the opportunity to take them the way that we want to. And meanwhile, Checkpoint had this trigger that was actually $53.02. So here's the first bar, and you can see 53 is approaching. And so even with the gap up in the market, because this stock didn't gap past, and this is the one that was our top pick and had a great cup and handle formation, we were able to go ahead and get into this one because in the second bar, as you can see, it goes right through. So there's your entry point on this trade. Now, what's interesting is this is now our Comer tool, which is, again, a 1 to 13 counting tool. The 13 is usually your sell signal. This signal that you're working off of here, that you see the pink numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all in the prior day. You get the 11 here late in the day because you have to be above, you need to be making new highs on your close here to get the next count. So you get the 12 a full day later, and a 13. It's possible this signal's a little exhausted, might not be as meaningful, but also it's that daily chart pattern. Again, I can't emphasize enough that even though this ends up being the 13 signal right here, okay, this is still a very, very strong stock because of the daily chart pattern. And so it's less about this 5-minute minutia time frame comparatively as the stock is taking off for us here. But what's interesting is when you get the 13 sell signal, you'll notice that you get this pink risk line. Basically what that means is that it's identified for all 13 sell signals. It basically gives you a, if this is set up in a way that you wanted to take a short here because of the 13 signal, your stop would go over this line. Okay? And so we call it a risk line. But in this case, because the daily chart pattern is so strong, we're focused on the long side. The tool is useful in a different way, which is that if this line breaks fairly quickly, you usually get a nice run. And look at how the market did identify this line for a couple of bars. You almost get a bull flag formation. And then boom, here we are off to the races again right through, and we're moving. And so what's great about this is, we never even really closed or violated below the prior 5-minute bar low, and this thing keeps running. And what ends up happening on top of it is now that you've got this extra energy, we're getting a new what we call 1 to 9 setup phase. And that's the type of energy that you can sort of, see there's your 9 and there's the sound signal for the 9th bar. And this sort of got us to tighten up our stop and ultimately get out of the trade up here for a full point from 53.02 to about 54. But what's interesting is if I take us through the rest of the day, that's pretty much the high. So again, the tool gave us a lot of information, but knowing that the daily chart pattern was so strong, we were able to say, hey, that seeker 13 on the daily chart, that may not actually turn into a sell signal. And it's okay, because we're only going to enter this trade if the stock breaks to new highs on the daily chart. If it had never done that, we wouldn't have been in the trade. And then once we're in this Comer signal, because we know how much strength there should be in the stock based on the broader time frame, we can watch this risk line and really monitor this area. And once it breaks through, we know we should get one more run. And then the 9-bar setup phase sort of identify the end of that run. So it was a real nice trade for us on a week that was characterized by a lot of light volume in the market, but also some gaps. So have a great weekend. This is brought to you by tradesight and eSignal 11.